Learning is a continuous journey. It requires regular investment. The times have gone where you can consider L&D as a supplement. This is part of your 3 square meals that you're supposed to pay. I would love to create a 3D superhero-based movie.
Avengers, are you listening?
L&D is looked at like that vertical where they will absolutely perform miracles.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Wizards of Learning, a chat show where we put L&D well beyond the boundaries of learning and development. Hi, I'm Harappa and I'm the faculty in residence at Harappa, India's foremost online learning platform. And let me tell you that even though businesses and professionals alike may be more focused on earning, every organization needs effective learning to future-proof itself, boost business performance, empower employees, and yet even prevent churning. So every episode, we'll be turning the spotlight on L&D custodians at some of India's leading companies who are on top of the concept and on top of their game. And the burning question, of course, is it finally possible to close all those terrifying skill gaps? So if you're also yearning to know how to do L&D well, sit back and relax. And let's begin and dive right into the Wizards of Learning. Our guest today goes by the name John James, who is the Senior Vice President and Talent Transformation Head at PVR Limited. So hello, Learning Wizard, and welcome to our show. So let's start, and I turn to you to ask you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your journey, and of course, what you do at PVR Limited. Over to you, John.
Chaya, thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here. And it's brilliant to see L&D being given this amount of importance and being in the limelight. Feels really good. All right, so I'm going to do things a little differently. And in terms of my introduction, here goes. Now, John is an old chap with 24 years of experience in his pack. He trains with passion and skill so that his audiences he can always thrill. People development is a mantra he always upholds. He uses all methodologies, both new and old. Be it in person or virtual, his training delivery style is bold. He has worked for GE, Dell, Citibank, Tata. It's a long list. But for L&D, he is a true evangelist. Thank you.
What a wonderful way to introduce yourself, John. I think that is definitely a first. So thank you for showing us that side of yours. So let's dive deep into the questions now. Right off the bat, I wanted to ask you, what does L&D mean to you?
That's actually a great question, Chaya. And L&D means different things to different people. But as far as I'm concerned, it means investing in enhancing the skills, the knowledge, and the capabilities of individuals, of people, of teams, of the organization to primarily improve productivity and as a result also enhance retention and employee connect with the organization, all related to performance and business results.
Thank you for summing that up, John. So it definitely seems like a very rewarding and straightforward role, right? But I wanted to know, is it even challenging? Do you have any challenges, or what are the top 3 challenges that you are trying to, bat out of the park?
So, Chaya, we have a truckload of challenges. Might not be very visible to the naked eye, but trust me, we deal with it on an everyday basis. And the challenges begin from, first of all, demonstrating value in L&D. And the second part of it is creating a pull towards L&D rather than a push from management, organization of people towards L&D programs. The third challenge is demonstrating results of the efforts and the investments that we do. We today, Chaya, live in a world where everybody looks at instant gratification. We've come from YouTube videos to Instagram reels, right? Just as a case in point. Now, similarly, unfortunately, at times L&D is looked at like that vertical where they will absolutely perform miracles. That somebody would go into an L&D program, undergo a training or a skill transformation, and once they come back, there will be this sudden magical change in this person. That's not true. That's not going to happen. L&D, learning is a continuous journey. It requires regular investment. And therefore, the organization needs to have the patience to be able to see those changes in results, changes in behaviors. At times, all of us, I'm sure, have experienced that people tend to get very restless, and they, kind of then question the value of sending people for L&D programs or undertaking of courses.
So, John, you spoke a lot about the value of L&D. If I ask you, as somebody who ventured into L&D, I would say many, many years ago, and of course has traveled their way to the top, what does this value stand for you? And the second part of this question is, when you look at, say, the employees that you stand to impact, or the people you build, say, programs, or the L&D department, or I would say just the L&D fortress for, how do you generate this value for them? So what's the value for you, and how do you generate this value to be shared with others?
Just about 24 years ago, in April 99 is when this learning and development journey began. And I started off as a regular trainer. I used to train product process training at GE. But, that's really helped me a lot. And from then to now, where do I see myself today? And where do I feel I stand today? I believe I've now become a L&D consultant for the business. So I've been able to demonstrate my subject matter expertise when it comes to L&D. I've been able to demonstrate that I understand the business, and that's because I make an effort, my team makes an effort to work closely with the business, understand the business, understand the challenges that they're facing, identify what are those broad, big goals that they're trying to achieve, and then map all our offerings, map all the interventions linked to those goals and those objectives, right? So just like, Chaya, we have financial consultants in our lives, or health consultants, dietitians we go to, we say, I want to become fitter, I want to lose weight. I believe, I've arrived at a point where I've become an L&D consultant for the business, where they come to me with business problems and to say that, listen, this is where we are stuck. Can you, from an L&D perspective, guide us on how to go about it? Can you help us fix it with us? Right? And that to me is the power of L&D, and it feels great to be that learning function, which becomes an enabling function for the business.
Absolutely. And I think, the natural question that I want to ask you after this, value can only be generated if that value is visible to someone on a daily basis. It doesn't become just something which is piggybacking on something else. So How does it become part and parcel of somebody's life?
To me, how you make it part and parcel of an employee's life is when you ingrain it so well into their daily activity that this becomes a job requirement and not an add-on. So what I mean is, we all have hopefully 2 or 3 square meals in a day, right? And add-on, we might, somebody might be deficient, so they might be taking D3 multivitamins, somebody might be deficient in something else, so they might be taking those, vitamin E, for example, vitamin pills, etc. But those are considered as supplements. What I'm saying is, the times have gone where you can consider L&D as a supplement. It is part and parcel of your job. You are required to learn. So this is your staple diet. This is part of your 3 square meals that you're supposed to take. So you've got to make it, first of all, part and parcel of that job. Learning is part of your job. You need to offer them a variety of tools and a variety of methodologies from which they can learn. One of the things that I think has become absolutely obsolete, Chaya, is the lecture-based learning that perhaps we have experienced many, many moons ago, right? So give them a variety of options, make learning flexible for them. For you might want to learn at the beginning of the day. For somebody else, it might be towards the end of the day. They want to end their day with some kind of a learning. You might learn better, through a peer. I might learn better individually by watching a video. So, give those variety of learning tools and methodologies to people and make it fun. Try and connect it to an outcome. If you can give them a very strong why and demonstrate that why is being met by undertaking a course, by learning from others, trust me, you found a learner for life.
That's a brilliant answer. I mean, I couldn't have ordered it any better. And the analogy that you drew was, I think it just helped me understand so much how we could create this, like a consistent value generation game. The question I'm trying to arrive at is that who are the stakeholders in this value generation game? And the second part of my question is that if leadership is part of the stakeholder management game that you have to play, how do you influence them? So who are the stakeholders and how do you influence them, including leadership? Over to you.
I believe the biggest stakeholder in the scheme of things is the learner himself or herself, because they are the ones who are going to invest their time, effort, energy into developing themselves, right? So that's one stakeholder you can't ignore and you shouldn't ignore. The second important stakeholder is the business, the leadership teams, the operational teams. We need to influence the management team, the operations team, to be able to allow these folks to get the time and the make the effort to invest in their own development. Now that's easier said than done. And how does that happen? That can happen through scientific methodologies. First of all, you've got to define what the problem statement is. What is the business facing as a problem, right? Then create very structured learning outcomes from that. Use adult learning methodologies. Use a myriad variety of tools to create those learning tools, learning aids, create those best practices. And then link it to a business result, which, like I told you earlier, won't happen overnight. But over a period of time, you're able to demonstrate the ROI of the time and effort that you've invested.
So the last question I wanted to ask you, that if you were given the option and an infinite superpower, what would you like to challenge and change in L&D?
So I wish that could come true. But if I did have that superpower of changing one thing, what I would change is, unfortunately, I still see, in some pockets, Chaya, the one size fits all approach. And, the fact that if training is going to be effective, it can only happen when you go for instructor-led workshops. You go sit there for a day and a half, and you undergo training. I would want to change that mindset if I had that superpower, to tell people that things have changed, things are constantly changing. People are different, they learn differently. There are different learning styles. We need to constantly develop tools and technologies and methodologies to cater to that style. One thing that I would love to bring about is to leverage AI and to try and somehow bring about personalized learning. The way Chaya learns and her learning needs are going to be very different from that of John or anybody else. Can AI help, first of all, identify that, and then guide that learner to the most appropriate methodology? And finally, throw back some analytics to the learning professionals about that, so that they can take those best practices, apply those, derive those learnings, and design something for the future learners also. Do course correction, etc. If I had a superpower, I would leverage all three: AI, personalized learning, and learning analytics.
So I think the only way I would like to segue into the next section would be that here's to building, here's to dreaming, here's to yearning, and here's to learning. So let's change the rhythm a little bit now. What we'll be doing is we'll be moving into the next segment, and mind you, we gotta be rapid about it. Okay, are you ready?
As ready as can be.
Okay, great. Question 1. If you had a chance, what would you call L&D?
BOLD, BOLD. What that stands for, it's an acronym. It means behavioral and organizational learning and development.
Second question. What is the one thing you wish to say to all those who unfortunately confuse you with HR?
You might just hire and train. We, however, constantly upskill, develop, train, and retrain.
Okay, next question. The top 3 L&D trends to watch out for this year.
Virtual reality, augmented reality, gamification, and learning analytics.
Now let's turn the question. What are the worst 3 L&D trends from last year that we must bury and move forward?
We need to move away from very rigid, fixed curriculums of learning and programs that are completely watertight, because that's not how today's learners learn. They require flexibility. Like I said, needs differ. The second worst trend, this lecture-based learning, that because I have 20 years of experience, I'm going to empty that out all on, the learners like it or not. Not going to work anymore. And the last one is this one size fits all, that get everybody in a room, do this training for them. And this is like a spray and pray method. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Very well worded again. Next question. If you had an all-power cart, what would you change in L&D in India?
Just like for CSR, there is an X percentage of amount mandated by the government to be invested by an organization. I would want to mandate an X percentage of time and monies towards people and employee development by every organization in India.
We spoke about India, and of course, it's always good to learn from our neighbors, right? So what are some of the L&D trends or anything that you might want to pick up from another L&D culture and that we must imbibe within ours?
A lot of skill-based learning, that's one culture that we can constantly pick up. Peer learning, on-the-job learning, starting early on. That real life experiences and those learnings are immense. They help you when you move forward in your professional career.
If not L&D, what would John be doing?
If not L&D, what I'd be doing, my second passion is racing. So I would be a NASCAR racer. I love speed.
Oh, wow. The next question for you, what is the most aspirational idea that you have had as an L&D person?
I would love to create a 3D superpower or a superhero based movie, which is based on an L&D professional, and his or her superpower is knowledge and skill. And they use that to save the world.
Avengers, are you listening?
Yes.
That's the next superhero we should look at. And of course, the last question for you, where is L&D headed in India? What's the future for us?
The future of learning is a very strongly digitized workforce who also consume a lot of learning opportunities, using online methodologies and learning on the go. And in terms of constantly developing them, engaging with them, and like you mentioned, using their entrepreneurial skills to tell us where, and what can we do to develop them further.
What a great way to end the rapid fire segment. It's so great to learn from the likes of you. And I think L&D space in India and even globally is in very safe hands when we have wizards like you at the forefront, being the custodians. So thank you so much. And maybe some parting words for all the audience for this podcast as well.
I would say, maybe we should join forces to create a very powerful, very strong, metaverse, which is an AI-powered metaverse of all kinds of learning resources that are available. And by virtue of that, create very personalized learnings and platforms for every learner that is out there in the world, which is aligned to their learning style, their learning preferences, and the outcomes that they desire to achieve in life.
Those were some of the most beautiful words spoken in the L&D space. And once again, John, thank you so much for enlightening us with such powerful words and imagery and hope. I can't wait to see what do you innovate next, and count Harappa in the metaverse that you built. We are right there beside you.
Before I go, I must also acknowledge the work that Harappa has done for the PVR team in supporting us in our L&D endeavors. Trust me, we can't do everything on our own. No organization can. You need equally impassioned and equally expert business partners and learning partners. And we found that in Harappa. So hopes of working together and achieving a lot more, changing people's lives for the better together. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day ahead, and let's keep learning and building together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely day ahead too. Thanks. Bye-bye.